The first U.S. military advisors could have boots on the ground in Iraq within a matter of hours. The deployment of up to 300 military personnel is getting underway to help Iraqi security forces in their battle against ISIS terrorists and their allies. The United Nations Refugee Agency is warning that a humanitarian crisis is growing worse by the day as ISIS fights to expand its grip on a large portion of Iraq. The former Iraqi ambassador to the United States is here in the Situation Room. Our correspondents are standing by in Iraq and the region. First, let's go to our senior international correspondent, Nick Robertson. He's got the very latest in Baghdad. Nick?
Wolf, perhaps the most significant development today, spokesman for the country's top Shia cleric in his Friday prayers, listened to and followed by millions upon millions of Iraqi Shias, said today that the winning parties in the election should quickly form a government that avoids past mistakes, that is a good government for all Iraqis and that is inclusive for all Iraqis in the future. This is a veiled threat to Nouri al-Maliki, that it is time to go. We have talked here with Iraqi politicians about how Nouri al-Maliki can be convinced to go. They have said that the only way is for the country's religious leaders to tell him that time is up. And that appears today to have been what is happening. Not clear yet that he's going to heed this spiritual guidance. But these are the developments we're seeing here today, Wolf.
In a nationally televised address, a top Shia cleric, Imam al-Safi, sought to tamp down sectarian tensions, calling on the government to ban all militias and clarifying an earlier call to arms.
This call was directed to everybody and not to one sect. It aimed to prepare to stand up to ISIS that has got the upper hand and strongest presence in many areas.
Meanwhile, supporters of ISIS, the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, amped up their vicious sectarian message with a social media blitz featuring a YouTube video in English aimed at Westerners.
We have brothers from Bangladesh, from Iraq, from Cambodia, Australia, UK. Nothing has gathered us except to make Allah Azza wa Jalla with the highest.
On Iraq's ever-expanding battlefield, ISIS remains in control of vast parts of north and central Iraq and is fighting towards Baghdad. It is into this that US special forces are being sent back into Iraq, almost 3 years after US combat troops left. President Obama said as many as 300 special forces might be sent in an advisory role. They are set to assess the dangers ISIS poses and will be forming 2 joint operation centers with Iraqi troops.
Just like in any unfolding situation like this, like even in a disaster relief operation, one of the first things you do is you deploy assessment teams to go find out what the requirements are before you start flowing in your support. And that's what I think these first couple of teams will do.
So far, the fighting in Iraq this year has displaced more than 1 million people, the UN High Commissioner on Refugees says. We met the Red Cross chief for Iraq, who warned me where ISIS took control 6 months ago, the situation is dire and could be repeated in their new conquests in the north.
Fallujah has been blocked since quite some time, and the needs are only increasing.
Iraqis, meanwhile, are looking to embattle Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki to form a more inclusive government. But Friday, there was no sign of any changes. Imam al-Safi told the faithful to be patient while a new government forms.
And that patience is clearly something that he, perhaps himself, Sistani, and his spokesman there are indicating that they are beginning to run out of with Nouri al-Maliki. The very fact that they have waded into this deeply political issue and laid a very clear guideline, no mistakes like the past, meaning Maliki's mistakes, and a government for everyone in Iraq. It's a very, very clear message here, Wolf.
Certainly is. Nick Robertson in Baghdad. Be careful over there. now we have a rare and exclusive glimpse into ISIS on secret video smuggled out of the captured city of Mosul. That's Iraq's second largest city, now controlled by ISIS. It was smuggled out by a man who's wanted by the terrorist group. Our senior international correspondent, Arwa Damon, is in the northern Iraq for us. She has this exclusive report. Tell our viewers, Arwa, what you've learned.
Well, Wolf, ISIS has already threatened anyone who dares to film them, be it journalist or citizen, with death, already implementing its very strict rules, trying to force them upon the population. But one man risked everything to bring this video out, speaking to us on condition that he remain anonymous and that we alter his voice.
Look at his clothes. He's not Iraqi. Ra'id points out. It's not his real name, speaking to us on condition we conceal his identity. Ra'id's wife and children are still in Mosul and could be slaughtered. Ra'id, wanted by ISIS, just escaped with this video he shot on his phone. He believes the man he filmed is Afghan.
So he's saying we're going to go from Mosul to Baghdad to Jerusalem. And he says he was speaking in broken Arabic and clearly wasn't Iraqi.
Ra'id's experience and the images a rare glimpse into the murky world of ISIS and how it solidified its grasp.
See, the kid is giving the ISIS fighter a kiss.
Some of the women were even throwing chocolate on them and shouting, "You saved us from the sectarian army, from Maliki's army," Ra'id says. It's because the army had harmed the people, put too much pressure on them. It's those actions that turn the terrorists into heroes. But Ra'id says the people will be betrayed. Already ISIS is implementing its harsh interpretation of Islamic Sharia law. Men who wear three-quarter pants get lashed, he says. If there was internet, you would see the worst of their torture. Women can't go out without a male guardian. And he is still shocked his city fell so fast. There were only 200 to 300 ISIS fighters and 40 to 50,000 Iraqi security forces. But after fighting for 3 days, they disappeared, Ra'id says.
This is from the special operations for the anti-terrorism unit.
After moving through, sleeper cells are activated. They are Iraqi. All the groups that were fighting the Americans at the start are now back and with ISIS, Ra'id explains. Maliki's actions are fueling the fire. American bombing would wreak more havoc than there already is. It's my city. He pauses. His voice starts to crack. The country is destroyed. It's lost, he says. Disbelieve it. After 1,000 years, it won't come back. His eyes fill with tears as he adds, the city of Mosul, once the city of prophets, in a day and night it turned into the city of ghosts and nightmares.
And Wolf, Ra'id believes that there has to be some sort of political change, that Maliki most definitely needs to go, but he does not necessarily believe that that is actually going to help save his country. But he says at the very least it could begin to ease some of the tensions, perhaps even cause some of the violence to subside. But at the end of the day, he says what people really need to focus on is trying to drive a wedge between ISIS and the other Sunni groups currently fighting alongside it, Wolf.
Totally horrendous situation. Arwa Damon in Erbil in northern Iraq. Be careful over there as well. Let's turn back now to the videos that ISIS wants you to see. The terror group is widening its chilling recruitment campaign, reaching out directly to Americans and other Westerners. CNN's Mohammed Jamjoom has been doing some excellent reporting for us on ISIS, its propaganda. Mohammed, what's the very latest?
Wolf, what we've seen emerge today is a startling new tactic that's being utilized by ISIS in their propaganda war, and one that analysts here will only make this group more dangerous than it already is.
Well, my brothers, come to jihad and feel the honor we're feeling, feel the happiness that we're feeling.
This new and very glossy recruitment video, which looks professionally shot and edited, was produced by ISIS in English. It's tailor-made to appeal to Americans and other Western jihadists. It features a 20-year-old British medical student who's traveled to Syria to wage jihad.
What prevents you from attaining martyrdom and the pleasure of your Lord? Look around you while you sit in comfort and ask yourself, is this how you want to die?
Analysts fear strategies like this may be working.
It's very significant that ISIS is using English. That means they have ambitions to attack Western countries. These videos attract certain people, young people, who find violence exciting.
Last month, Munir Muhammad Abu Salha, a 22-year-old from Vero Beach, Florida, became the first American suicide bomber in Syria. ISIS released clips showing the attack, declaring the feat a victory for them. U.S. officials say dozens of U.S. citizens are already in Syria. They're worried not just about the Americans currently there, they're even more concerned about the ones who might come back and plot attacks against the homeland. To that end, Twitter has become a front line in the propaganda war ISIS is waging. Many fighters claiming to be British constantly tweet updates, urging like-minded Britons to join them in Iraq and Syria. One asks, how can you see pictures of babies blown to pieces with their brains all over the floor and then question us about why we come here? Another posts, families in the villages taken over by ISIS are slowly returning and settling in and are happy and relieved to see ISIS occupying. And then there's YouTube, where a steady stream of clips are posted. Like this video, purportedly showing ISIS supporters around the world standing in solidarity with a group so brutal, even Al-Qaeda has disowned them. Experts suggest that even though the propaganda is making waves, ISIS should be seen for what it really stands for.
It is really important to treat this as you would a deadly virus. If there was a deadly virus anywhere in the world, it is threatening to all of humanity. So it needs to be treated as a virus that causes genocide.
Wolf, it was just last month you and I were discussing a really brutal video showing ISIS going on a horrific killing spree throughout different provinces in Iraq. Well, the terrorism experts I'm speaking with today are saying that it's not really a surprise that ISIS is somewhat shifting tactics. They believe that if they show this softer side that they're trying to present now, that they'll be able to get more foreign recruits. Wolf?
Mohammed Jamjoom reporting from Beirut for us, doing excellent work. Thank you, Mohammed.